Hello and welcome to episode 25 of the Gaming Roundtable. I'm your host Newton13. With me today, well, we might have some special guests, just stay tuned. Today we're going to be talking about Onlive, the brand new cloud gaming service from, well, Onlive. Is this one of the things that you really want to download for your browser? Or is it even too small to be significant? Enjoy the show.
This idea, see, it came to me, and it's gonna be the next big thing. Yeah, it's gonna be the next big thing. 1.0. It's the story of a girl and her.
Okay, now the first thing I want to talk about is the online service itself. I mean, I must say that there have been a lot of things that have came in over the years that have tried to basically achieve the same thing. Something like, for instance, we all remember the Phantom. Or actually, we don't remember the Phantom, and that's kind of the point. The concept of taking the heavy-duty PC hardware and wedging that down into a point where anybody can play high-end games with a relative minimum need to upgrade, if any, whatsoever. Now, what you're seeing to the left happens to be my laptop, which is currently running Onlive. This is somebody else playing Borderlands as I'm watching them play. However, just as you see here, I could be playing just as well. For your television, on the other hand, there are several components that you could use to hook Onlive up. More specifically, this lovely product, the micro gaming console. We're going to get into detail for that in just a second. Now, first things first, let's talk about the micro console itself. Now, this particular unit has got to be the smallest game console that I have ever seen. In fact, so you can see a direct basis of comparison, here is the smallest game console on the market today, the Nintendo Wii. It's tiny, it's compact. This is the Onlive. Hardly even half the size of the Wii. This thing is maybe a third of it. Now, of course, there's really not a lot of hardware in this bad boy. Basically, what you're seeing, you have your Ethernet connector, your HDMI input, fiber optic audio, and two USB ports on the front. So, essentially, you can hook up any gamepad that you like to this, but when you purchase one of these bad boys, you get this, the Onlive game controller. You'll notice it's very reflective of, say, a PlayStation 2 controller, although ergonomically, it's more comparable to an Xbox 360 controller. Now, with that in mind, take a look at this controller. There's a center button here that you can use to get to the main menu on Onlive at any time. There's your parallel analog sticks, 4 buttons, surprise, toggle and trigger buttons, and for a 4-directional pad, which can be used for 8 directions. You have these extra buttons right down here which you can be used for Onlive functions, more specifically stuff like creating brag clips, fast forwarding, etc. Now here's the thing. About this controller, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I mean, sure, it's comfortable to hold in your hands, it's relatively sturdy, but these parallel analog sticks, hate it. So here's what I'm going to tell you to do. If you have one of these, since you already have 2 USB ports, you might as well grab one of these. The Xbox 360 wired or wireless controller. Now, if the wireless requires a driver, just plug this bad boy in and it'll work just as well. Your Xbox Live guide button, surprise, will double as the Onlive's center button, which I realize you probably can't see here. Every other button functionality remains exactly the same. So, an easy substitute. Yes, you lose a brag clip button, but it's really not that big of a loss. Now let's talk about the service itself. The Onlive gaming service has a very easy to use interface. The center logo that you will see throughout the menus is basically your main menu button. You can send messages to your friends, you can check your friends list and whoever's online at the time, and you can also check and create your own brag clips, which of course are little 10-second clips, the last 10 seconds that you did in any good game, where you might have like really kicked butt. In general, you just hit Alt-B and you'll create your brag clips. Now here's the thing. There's two sides of this very coin when it comes to the online gaming service. Do I want the micro console, or do I want it to be on my computer? And herein lies the big difference between these two scenarios. The micro console retails for $99.99, although to be fair, through the right online service, they've been giving these things away. But is it really worth it? Honestly, I love the service. I think it's very easy to use. I love the game selection, and I think that you'll get a really good value out of the service. However, the micro console is not worth $100. When you hook it up to the TV, half the time the text that you want to read is not designed for a television screen, and it's very hard to, if even possible, to read. Plus, using the Onlive controller versus a keyboard and mouse, I know this is a debate that's been raging on in the gaming realm for years, but let me just put settles to it. The controller is good, it doesn't work as good, especially if you're playing games like Unreal Tournament. So let's break this down into simplicity for everybody. As far as value for service is concerned, I give the Onlive service a 5 out of 5. It's only $9.99 for a Play Pack subscription. You can play as many games as you like. It's pretty awesome. And they're adding new games every day. I think the prices for the games are a little on the high side considering you don't actually get any physical media. However, Onlive is constantly running sales where you can get some killer bargains on some of the older titles. And the Play Pack, for $10 a month, you can play as many games as you like, and there's currently a selection of about 49. Not too bad. So value of service is a 5 out of 5. As far as hardware reliability, well, if we're talking about the Onlive console, I only give it a 2 out of 5. I don't think that there's a really good value to be said for $100. It's nice that you get the controller. It's nice that the Onlive device is so compact if you really don't have any other way to play it Onlive. But how can I put this? If you download it onto your computer, it's free. F-R-E-E, free. So you don't have to buy any hardware at all. And if you have a spare Xbox 360 controller lying around, hook it up to your PC and voila. If you prefer the controller, you can use it. If you want to use a keyboard and mouse, it's on your computer anyway. And the hardware requirements for the Onlive system are very low grade. You don't even have to have a decent computer run it, which of course is kind of the point. Now it's time for a trip back in time to our retro reflections with my special guest, Decker Shadow. Decker? An awful lot of Onlive lately, checking out this service for everything it has to offer. But was there anything back in the day that maybe could even compare to this service?
Well, actually, back in 1994, Sega had released a digital distribution service for the Genesis games called Sega Channel. It was a cable-based subscription service for the Sega Genesis where the cable would plug directly into the specialized cartridge that went into the Genesis. And through that, you would actually, it costs $25 to activate your account, and then $15 monthly afterwards. It was purely subscription-based. And with that service, there were 50 games listed per month that you could actually go ahead and download temporarily to play on your Genesis.
Well, sounds like a really good service. How does it compare to maybe cloud gaming on Onlive? How long did it take for games to load on Sega Channel?
It didn't take too long, but considering the fact that it was going through cable and how small byte-wise these games were in the first place, it actually did take a lot longer than you would expect by today's standards. But, back in '94, not too many people were familiar with the speeds capable of through cable modems.
So if Sega Channel was still around today, Decker, would you recommend it?
I would have to say no, considering Onlive is around as well. I'd definitely go for Onlive in preference of Sega Channel, just on the price alone.
And that was Retro Reflections with Decker Shadow. Thank you for your input.
Anytime, Newton.
And now it's time for one of my favorite sequences. This is the one where we talk about what's currently going on in the gaming industry.
You know you're acting like it's down now. You know but you're acting like it's down now. You know you're acting like it's down now.
Now, Decker, as you may very well be aware, the 3DS has just launched. And, well, it's quite the impressive piece of... Do you have a 3DS?
Maybe.
Do you think that the 3DS is worth it? And has Nintendo successfully launched another awesome product? Or is this just something else that it's better to wait for? Your take on that?
Well, of course, I couldn't wait for it.
That's
But
apparent.
I have to say, graphically, it's extremely impressive. But there is a price on that. The 3DS playing some of the more graphically intensive games, like Super Street Fighter 4 3D, does actually get a little hot after extended time playing it, and you won't have to have much extended time playing it because the battery life is atrocious for a Nintendo handheld. Only 4 hours playing something like Super Street Fighter 4. If you wait long enough for them to actually release a new model of the 3DS, I certainly hope that they extend the battery life on it, because that's the only thing I can think of that has a dire need for improvement with the system. And what's your take on it, Newton?
Well, I gotta tell you, Decker, I don't actually own a 3DS. I know, it's a crime against nature. I recently purchased a DSi, and quite frankly, I've been very happy with it, being able to actually access the DSi store, which is more than I can say for you. But regardless of that, I did actually try the 3DS. It was at a store display, so before everybody starts beating me up, yeah, okay, it might not have been exactly in optimal conditions. However, I do have a couple of quarrels that I would like to put out there. First things first, after hearing about the battery life, I'm not too happy. I mean, 3.5 to 4 hours on average, assuming, of course, that you're going to be playing it in 3D with the volume cranked. And to all your DS owners out there, who wouldn't? That's terrible. I mean, when I bought the PSP, I hated the fact that every time I wanted to use it, I had to plug it in. Now, as far as the 3D effect is concerned, I couldn't get an optimal viewing angle, and I realize that this may very well be a concern for anybody who hasn't experienced 3D before. Basically, the concept of I have to be looking at it exactly at the right angle in order to get an actual depth perception. If I'm not looking at it at the right angle, all I get is double vision, and it just looks really awkward. Trying to figure out what you're supposed to be seeing while interacting with it ends up being more, more cumbersome than necessary. And I must say that half the time, in order to actually enjoy the games on the 3DS, I turned off the 3D effect. Now that's harsh, considering that's supposed to be one of the major selling points. Would I spend $250 on this device? My answer is, no, I would not. I would seriously wait until the price goes down and they improve the battery life.
Oh, that's a full rainbow, all the way. Double rainbow, oh my god, double rainbow. It's a double rainbow, all the way.
Make sure you have a fast internet connection if you want to take advantage of Onlive. Otherwise, you will see frequent dropouts. Bad internet connections, I can't stress enough, will have frequent dropouts. But if you have a decent internet connection, an okay PC, and the desire to play some awesome games without having to spend a ton of money on hardware, Onlive is definitely the gaming system for you. And I highly recommend it. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Gaming Roundtable. Next time on the Gaming Roundtable, we're going to be reviewing another game. Is it as epic as the Onlive service and everything that it can offer? Well, sometimes you just gotta believe. And we'll see you next time.
I'm a very sexy man. I know that I am. He knows that he am. I do it every night. He does it every night. I always do it right. He always does it right. Oh, do the boom It's a very easy dance.
It's a very easy dance.
You don't need any dance.
You don't need any dance.
We can do it low and slow.
Do it low and slow.
Move my heavy buttocks to and fro.
Move my buttocks to and fro.
This is terrible. This is one of the worst catastrophes in the world.
Okay, Decker, now, as you might already be familiar, the 3DS has are we talking 3DS or are we talking Microsoft?